Hi everyone, welcome to Polymer Clay TV. I'm Kira, and today I'm going to show you how to make this really pretty focal statement piece to create a necklace. And it's just using a few simple tools. So let's go ahead and get started. So in today's project, I'm going to use a bunch of cutters to help me form my design. And I started with Primo Accents white granite and some souffle, and they're mixed together 50-50. So I've created sheets, and this one is on a number 3 on my pasta machine, so that I can cut out my initial shape for the base of the necklace. So I'm just going to take a nice flexible blade, and I have 2 blades that I work with a lot. One of them is a tissue blade, and this is a firm blade. It doesn't bend. This one is a from the Sculpey tool set, and it does bend quite nicely. So you can bend this blade and create a curve. Okay, and that's going to be sort of the base for my necklace, and I'm going to wait and cut the rest after I see how my ovals turn out, because now I'm going to cut a bunch of ovals with the medium oval cutter. So I cut out 11 pieces. I actually cut out more than 11, but 11 is what I ended up with, and this is the medium-sized oval. And the reason is I want to have an odd number so that there is one that's clearly in the middle. And I wanted to create a kind of a curve because of the style necklace I'm going to be making. So these are now, I'm going to separate them. I just put them together loosely to make sure I had the right number and the right curve to the piece. I'm going to bake these first because these are going to be sort of pieces that I press into the other part of the necklace to make it look a little bit more like a mosaic. So these are out of the oven, and what I had done before popping them in there is I decided to go ahead and put a hot fix crystal on each one. So these are just some glass hot fix crystals that I had lying around in my stash. And now I'm going to take this tile. So I set up my little shape that I had made on a tile, and I'm going to start putting these on here and seeing how much room I have to work with as far as the curve. Because what I'm going to do is create a sort of curved piece with the clay pieces stuck on there, and then I'm going to use this leaf to create some leaves that sort of dangle down, and the little flower shapes to make little flowers that will go up there. I can already tell that my curve is not curvy enough, so I'm going to go ahead and tighten it. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut out some leaves and flowers and all kinds of things that I can use to piece together the little bib necklace that I'm going to make. So I've just rolled my clay out to a number 4 and started cutting out shapes. So I just wanted to show you, the reason why we love these cutters is because they're plungers and the shapes just pop right out. So I've got a bunch of those flowers, and I'll do some of the even smaller flowers. Little guy like that. The larger shapes, when you cut them with these cutters, tend not to get stuck inside the plunger. It's the small shapes that want to get stuck. But that's why the plunger is there, to get them out without distorting them. So I would just make a whole bunch of different shapes just to prepare yourself so that you don't have to stop in the middle and make more. I'm not really sure exactly how my necklace is going to turn out at this point. I know I'm just making lots of clay shapes and getting ready to play. And you can just peel this back usually. Sometimes you have a couple pieces that want to be still in there, but it's no big deal. It's great to work on these Teflon sheets. So if you have a little extra space, you can just pop out a couple more fun little shapes. And, you know, I tend to just use up the whole piece of clay. It's all one color, so it's not like I'm wasting any. If I don't use it, I'll just roll it back into a ball. So I'm just gonna set that extra off to the side, grab my piece that's already prepared to make the necklace on, and start piecing these onto it. So my initial thoughts are to use the leaves down here around the bottom edge. So that's what I'm going to do first, is place these leaves. And you'll see why in a minute, why I pre-baked those other pieces. Basically so that I could really smush them hard into this. Okay, so I've got this sort of, that's the danger of working in a studio with a cat who's actually sitting right over there watching everything I do. His hair gets on stuff. Okay, so I have this, and now these are going to go over the seam, and I'm going to press them down. And they're going to help hold this whole thing together, but also act as a decorative element. I'm going to move that closer. So you see how you, as you put something together, you will figure out where you're at, where things fit. And because I made 11, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I know that I can put 5 of these little guys on each side. So like that, and then we'll come across this way. And all I have to do is line up the crystals and press everything down. Just make sure that you are kind of, if you're going for symmetry, make sure your things are symmetrical before you press them tight, because it's harder to pull them apart if they're not. Okay, so there's my base construction. I'm going to cut off above this and save that clay for later. And my holes for hanging this are going to be out here in the corners. So I can put a jump ring later there and here. Okay, so don't forget your holes. And now I can just play around with all those fun flower shapes and fill in the area. And once I've done that, then I'll bake it. So now that I've placed all of these, and what I did is I just took a end of a paintbrush and I just put my piece on the end of the paintbrush and stuck it down where I wanted it. And I decided to overflow a little bit out onto these leaves to give it a sort of a different look. Not so symmetrical, since the leaves and the ring of those crystal pieces are giving it a lot of symmetry. I decided to change it up a little bit on the outside here by putting some flowers here and giving this whole area in here a sort of lack of symmetry, just by moving things around and having them not be so perfectly in the middle and one on each side. So this way I feel like it's got a good balance of looking like it's all focused and symmetrical, but also having a little bit of things that are off to the side and not perfectly aligned up with each other so that it's not too boring. So now I'm going to go ahead and bake this whole thing in the oven again before finishing it off. So this is how I'm going to finish the necklace. I did it intentionally white so that I could color it with alcohol markers. And Elisa and I got these, you can see, at TJ Maxx for $30, which was really nice. There's a 30-piece set of markers, which are usually a bit more expensive than that, but they're pretty cool. And you can see here, sorry about that, that I actually have a, what is this? A Zig in here, which is an acid-free pigment ink, because I use these to draw with. So I'm not going to use that one today, but the rest of them are in here. They're so nice. And I'm going to go ahead and color my white clay. So that was my whole intention, doing this in this lighter white color. So I took it off its baking tile and put it on another tile so that I don't damage the surface that's underneath, because these markers can be juicy. So I'm just going to go ahead and pick colors, and these have a brush tip on one end, which is really nice. So you can go ahead and get in there and get that color onto your clay. And I'm just going to randomly pick what colors I want to go where and try to balance it all out so that if I'm using this pink, that it is represented all over the piece. So the brush marker is nice because it's a juicy tip, but it's also got a fine tip on the end so you can get in between and under where you want it to go. So this process is really easy. You just pick where you want your colors to go and color it in. These markers work great on polymer clay, and we have some other markers that we have tested also, and we're getting ready to write a nice big article about which markers really work well on the clay. So be watching for that on our blog. But I'm just going to go ahead and color this all in until it's finished. Because they're alcohol markers, they don't bleed in water or anything like that, so this color's pretty permanent. If you wanted to, you could heat set them in the oven for another 5 minutes or so and really know that those colors aren't going anywhere. And that's about it. And then once you're completely done coloring in your piece, you can attach some jump rings into those holes that we made and go ahead and turn it into jewelry. One of the cool things and one of the things to remember is that these markers can re-wet themselves. And the colors can be dissolved with alcohol. So although I could take this and dip it in water right now and nothing would happen to it, I would not want to spill rubbing alcohol or my drink all over it, because that would change it. So I wanted to show you that you can work with these even after they have been painted on. And I'm going to take this aqua color and change the color of these blue pieces, because true blue is a color that I do not resonate with. It's not, it's just not a color that I use in my art very much, but I can create my own blend because these markers will sort of re-wet and turn into a new color if I blend it right on there. And they've got this nice tip that you can really work around and work into places. And you'll see in a minute when I wash it off that it is sort of picking up that blue color onto the tip of this marker, but I can clean it afterwards. So I just wanted to show you that you don't necessarily have to use the marker's colors sort of straight out of the container, because see, now it's all cleaned off and the blue is gone out of this color. So basically that was a combination of first this one and then this one over the top of it. And I did the same thing for the young, the young leaves that are up here. I did them first with this pale yellow, and now I'm going to go over them with this light green in order to get a sort of bright, light greenish color. And then I'll probably go back into them a second time with my yellow while this is still wet and sort of mash this all around and just get that color moving and blended so that it's that nicer, brighter, lighter green color. Because I wanted to contrast it with the green that's going on down here, which is also just one. See how, like, if I got some color on there, I can just wipe it off with a paper towel and everything will be fine. So there are lots of greens in this set, and I wanted to go ahead and the first color that I used on the leaves is this one. So now I want to go into those leaves, especially near the veins, and sort of encourage a different color to spread itself around in there. Gives it a little more life when you mix colors and you don't just color things in like one color at a time like a coloring book. Now that we're adults, we can make things more sophisticated by layering the colors. So you can go around the edges of the leaves with that new color, just to darken them and make them different than that one single color that we laid down the first time. So you can have a lot of fun with this technique, just going back and forth and coloring in areas and coming back and mixing them again. You can leave some of this white, you can take your time and really color it all in. It is completely up to you. And you'll notice also that when I first colored those flowers, I colored them all one color, and then I came back and using the blending properties, because these markers can blend, I just went ahead and went right over those other colors to make the centers of the flowers all this one peachy color. And it works. They just kind of re-wet each other, and you can see that the end of my peach marker gets a little bit discolored, but I can come right back over here and wipe it off on a paper towel until it's all cleaned up. So these markers are super fun to use, and now I can go ahead and attach some jump rings and chain or cord or whatever I want and create this into a really pretty necklace. So now you've got a back that you can decide what you want to do. You can paint it. I would not use the alcohol on it because I'm gonna wear it and it might kind of eventually rub off on your skin. So I would probably paint this or use some kind of other finish, not the alcohol ink. I'm just going to finish off the back of this with a little precious metal color. This is just an acrylic paint. You don't have to use this one. It's just one that I really like. So it's a Viva Decor color. The color name of this one is Pistachio. And these are my favorite mica paints. They're very creamy. It's acrylic, so I'm just going to put a wash over the back of this piece just to make it a little bit more finished than leaving that plain white clay. I hope you had fun with this idea and that you'll show us what you're making if you come over to our Facebook group called Polymer Clay Tribe. We are always sharing the fun things that we make, and we love seeing what everybody makes after viewing our tutorials. So have fun! We'll see you next time on Polymer Clay TV.